Welcome to the Globetrottin ADs. This podcast is for you, athletic directors, activity coordinators, coaches, and program associates based in international schools around the world. The Globetrottin ADs is proudly hosted by Nick DeForest from the American International School Vienna and Matt Fleming from the American International School of Budapest. Here they are now, Nick and Matt and the Globetrottin ADs.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of the Globetrottin ADs. Today, we're joined by Dan Schuster. Dan is from the National Federation of High Schools out of the United States. He's the Director of Educational Services. So today, he's going to share with us a lot of information about online courses NFHS offers, a little bit about his background, and also some outreach that's happening with international schools. So it's going to be a lot of good content. Dan is also an NIAAA certified Master Athletic Administration, so he has some ties in with that, which a lot of us will be familiar with. Originally from Indiana, we're happy to have Dan, and I'll turn it over out now to Nick.
Hey, thanks, Matt. And Dan, thanks for being on with us. NFHS Learn has been a big part of my life for many, many years and my daily work at school. So I'm glad to have you on here. And just wondering if you can give us a bit more of a background of yourself and maybe how you got to where you are right now.
Yeah, gentlemen, thank you so much for having me. And it's a pleasure to be on. And, first, before I dig in a little bit, I really do appreciate all that you are doing for the profession and all that you are doing for international ADs in particular, of really promoting professional development. That's what we're looking to do. I mean, we're thrilled that people from all across the world are able to take advantage of the resources and online courses that we're developing. So thank you for really, creating awareness for these opportunities for so many people. And again, all the good work that you do for young people as well. But that, we don't want that to go unnoticed as well. So thanks for having me. I'm actually in my 13th year with the NFHS, and I started this position as the Director of Educational Services in 2014. And so, we've come a long way. If we're going to talk about online learning, when I first started there in 2008, online learning was completely different. And a lot of people really saw online learning as following along, reading on screen. And we really found an opportunity to really try to change that. And it was all the way back, at that time where we were really starting to hear from our membership that, hey, we need to really change a culture of coaching and get to more coaches, because we have more and more coaches that are outside of the classroom, right? Non-teachers, volunteer coaches, and people that want to help, but people that do not have training of teaching and coaching. So what do we do? How do we do it? And so, the online approach is how we really went after that, of really educating the masses and creating awareness for the masses. And so that was really the start of that. Mm-hmm. And this, these discussions happened back in 2006, 2007 is when we launched. Wow. With just 2 online courses. And a little bit more of the history was it really started just for coaches. Mm-hmm. And it was, again, for that purpose, but always in mind that the NFHS does not just serve one in particular constituent. It's always been titled the Learning Center. The Learning Center has always been at the top of the website, mm-hmm. And so it's been, as of the last several years, that we've truly expanded and been an outreach for all constituents within the high school community, and also our performing arts folks, right? So there's a whole variety of activities that happen within the school building and around school programs, and so we're thrilled to be a resource for everyone, not just our coaches.
Yeah, it is amazing that when you started, I looked today and saw that my first course was 2013 that I've taken, and that's a while ago. But to go back as far as when it really started, and to think of online classes way back then to now where we are with Zooming being a part of our daily life is amazing to think of the difference.
Yeah, it's something that we forget about. Back to what I mentioned about there being a lot of reading. It was unheard of to have online hosts in courses, and now and a lot of times that's all you see now are talking heads and people guiding you through online learning. But at that time, it was very new, and so it's kind of funny looking back now in our very first rendition of Fundamentals of Coaching. There was not again a lot of these resources. There wasn't a lot to really compare and contrast to, but we were actually thinking about having the host be really of how we see each other today on Zoom, where you just see the top half of me, right? And you get to see me a little bit up closer. Well, at the time, the folks that we worked with online learning were like, well, people aren't used to seeing this. So like, you need to show their whole body. So people were actually, they were tiny little people, and their full bodies were on screen. So like we shot it in such a way on a green screen at the time that you literally saw the person walk on the screen. Okay. And it was just all very new, but you knew it provided a little bit of context. So it was a completely new space for us.
Yeah, and at that time you figure out what would be the best method of delivery, or what would look best on a screen, or what would be the best learning situation for the viewer. How did you figure that out in terms of the technical aspects? Did you have outside tech people that were able to help you out in sorting all that out, or how did it go?
Yeah, Matt, it's a great question. We did work with a local group. We wanted to really have diversity in the sense of we wanted to have video included. We wanted to have questions. We wanted to have some quote sections, because the very first course that we did was Fundamentals of Coaching. So very large, a lot of breadth. I mean, there's a lot in that course. It's, you're talking 5-6 hours, right? Because that was our course that, and still is our course, but that was really taking the place of, if you will, of the weekend clinic. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we took it in online. You can be so efficient. So there's no wasted time. Everything is very scripted, and it's exactly the way you want it. So you can shorten it. You can shorten up your presentation, but we wanted it to be not just video after video after video, or reading after, every single slide. So, and we still really live by that principle today, but, it was different because we couldn't have done all video even if we wanted to in some circumstances, because, all the loading at that time, like we're talking about 56K modems. Right. We're talking about, really, really slow bandwidth and challenges like that. So if the whole reason that we were doing this to begin with was to reach more people. Right. So we always had to be available and appealing to, no matter where you were in the country and the world. We needed to be able to reach you and be able to have this be accessible. So that's always been something we've been very sensitive to, and something that, with all the browser updates and, we still have to be sensitive to those things.
Sure. And now on the phone as well, right? I've done a course in the bus coming to school, so compatible with all these different things.
It's amazing because we that's something that we certainly track is, and again, you can do all these things, via Google Analytics, those of you that have school websites, or, you can track all these things. And it's really important to know, how anytime you're communicating with someone, you want to know, what they're receiving it on, whether it's a newsletter or what have you, because you want to make sure it looks good on, and most of them are using mobile devices, right? So I think our number is up. I think our number is up to 33% of our users are consuming learn on their mobile device.
Oh, wow.
And, so that's up about 3% in the last year. And
Okay.
I anticipate that to keep climbing.
Sure.
And,
Yeah.
it's wild. One thing that we implemented in the last year is something to help stream on mobile devices, some technology called adaptive streaming, which really, again, kind of doesn't force you to download a 4K video on your phone when you're on the bus or when you're on a train. It really meets you where you are and makes it efficient, frankly, for the learning center and for you to consume it. So back to that, we want to make it easily loadable and easily, easy to take the course.
Yeah. Yeah. I have one open right now. I've been going back and forth with about the last few days. So it's great that it works out that way, that you can just come use it at your own convenience. And the timelines are pretty friendly in terms of when you have to complete them by. So it's been great in that regard in terms of convenience. So I'm sure that's a big draw.
Yeah, for sure. I think we've seen a lot of success with the formula of around that 20 to 25 minute mark. So, for folks to consume, and in particular, we try to make our courses for students, certainly that length of time or less, because, we all are, our attentions are valuable and they're getting shorter and shorter, our attention spans. And so we want to be respectful of people's times, but back to, we want to be very efficient. We want to get you what you need, and we want to get you thinking about a certain topic, maybe in a way you've never thought about it before, but those fundamental topics, and we want you to think a little bit more about them. And there's always places you can go to learn more about it, but we want those, I call a lot of our free courses wheel turners. We want to get your wheels turning, and we want you to maybe spend an extra minute here and there thinking about how it impacts you and how it impacts your students, your program. So what are some things you could do better in that area? And, that's what professional development's all about.
Yep. You mentioned a little bit about how you've created courses for fine arts programs, and we'll talk a little more about that shortly. But I'm in the age of COVID and all of us being forced to go to our computers more and more for everything. Has the NFHS done any work with any organizations to provide online versions of competitions of any sort that you're aware of?
Yeah, so James Weaver of our staff, I know, has been working very hard at, for music programs, it gets tricky because of copyright issues. So, live events are very different than, having on-demand events, especially on the internet. So, I know that our states are really looking at that. Our activities are something that there's just so much we don't know. You mentioned COVID, and there's a lot of programs that are not happening because of some of the unknowns. The NFHS is involved in an aerosol study right now, and it's a continuing study that may go on for many more months. And we're just learning as much as we can about those aerosols that, instruments and, singers and, that are putting out that aerosol and how far they're going, and whether it's outdoors or in the classroom. Right. So the learning continues to happen. The research continues to happen. And, I do know that there's going to be opportunities that states are going to have and can have these virtual competitions, right? I think you're seeing some of them, but it's very possible the comfort level of doing things via Zoom or pick your other, programs. Right. I think it's real, and it's something that, I guess we never thought about it that way. We could do this, virtually. So I think a lot of states are, a lot of times independently making some of those decisions, but the NFHS is certainly a part of the discussions, and I know James Weaver of our staff within performing arts programs is a part of those discussions. So, I just love the creativity and, especially our young people are, they're so willing to adapt.
Mm-hmm.
And, we've seen, I think we've all seen such an eagerness by our entire, community, whether it's, of sport, but in particular within our schools, of how much they appreciate now those that are able to get back to activity. You're seeing a little bit different feeling. You're seeing just such a thankfulness of the opportunity to compete. And it doesn't matter what we're talking about, just to have an opportunity to participate and be around their friends. And, they just want to do what it is they love doing, whether it's playing a musical instrument or kicking a soccer ball.
Yeah, it's the variety is amazing when it comes to the performing arts. I mentioned I have a course open right now that I'm still in the process of completing. It's educating speech and debate. And the reason I got interested because I was watching. I knew the presidential and the vice presidential debates were coming up. I thought, I wonder if you were going to take like what they actually score debate competitions with. Could you apply that to the actual presidential debates? And I kind of thought about this and I looked into it. I've helped out in our regional organization here for our international schools, CISA. I've helped organize speech and debate competitions at my school. And we have rubrics and we have sheets we use to judge the competitors with. I thought, well, man, let's see what the NFHS has to say about it. It's a really good course, actually, for educating speech and debate. But my idea of applying that to the presidential debate, of course, right out the window because nothing applied to that particular performance on both sides. So, but I think the impact of how programs like that speech and debate course can really help schools and help folks who aren't familiar with these particular types of competitions to get more familiar with them and learn about them, because there's a lot of ins and outs, of course, but I think it's something that can help schools. So I don't know if there's any other future plans for other activities besides things like that, or anything you're aware of that you could share with us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a great, that's something that we've not had in the past is any kind of training for, for speech and debate, adjudicators, right? That's exactly what we want the Learning Center to be. So you're going to see more in the speech and debate area. Mm-hmm. Our music coursework is built out a little bit more. We've been doing that for a few years now, but you're going to start seeing theater and academics, programs start showing up on the Learning Center. So that's something that, again, we're very committed to creating a course catalog that has something for everyone. So as cliche as it sounds, I always say that, no matter who you are, there is something for you on the NFHS Learning Center. Right. So that's really what we want to continue to build to. And so I love, being a part of this from the standpoint that we keep expanding. And I'm a perfect example because a lot of these courses that we build and you mentioned the speech and debate one. I'm the perfect person to go through that because I don't know very much personally about the, really the rules and the protocol. And so I'm the perfect person to be able to teach that too. If I go through that course and it makes sense to me and I can really, digest it and say, okay, now I understand what you're asking me to do. I understand this process and this process. That's exactly what we're looking to do. Yeah. So we're not trying to be too complicated in this. We're trying to convey some very simple but very valuable information, again, to as many people as we can. So there's resources in there, as you mentioned, of, hey, here's what a rubric looks like. This is what you should be looking for. And it, talks a little bit about bias and things like that, mm-hmm. Like judges and adjudicators really need to be aware of. So it's fundamental, but very valuable and very necessary.
For sure.
Yeah, I've taken it as well. And I think it works for our competitions here that are a bit organized a bit different than the ones in the United States, but it works. There's enough information that works that our coaches should take them as well.
Yeah, and I think again, why it's useful for international schools as much as here in the United States is that we're creating all these materials for our member state associations, and there's 51 of them, and they do things all a little bit differently. So the thing there is, we don't just implement one way of this is how you have to do it, right? We're trying to create the best practices, and we keep it pretty simple, but again, valuable. So I think that's how it's really made that way to where anyone would get value out of a particular topic.
I like you mentioned how the focus changed. You started with coaches, and obviously we're talking now about activities, but also a bigger section is people that aren't even in activities or athletics, right? Like the homework helper. I know Matt's wife is using that with her class. Athletes or not, it doesn't matter. There's a place for them as well. And of course, parents. The whole section, of course, is just for parents. How did those start? Was that were states writing you? Were you guys coming up with them? How did it start, and what's the feedback been?
Yeah, it's a good question. And actually, the student helper and the homework helper and reading and learning strategies and that little suite of courses started years ago, and it really was about a relationship that we had and with World Book actually at the time. And so we created some courses for students, and the idea was really again, as I think the titles are actually pretty accurate. I mean, it's a homework helper. It's really trying to help kids stay on top of their schoolwork, learn some things. There's one about research, testing tips. Some people have anxiety of taking tests, so maybe some stress relief, strategies and things of that nature. But it's definitely not just for students that are participating in activities. That's the other thing. But what we've really noticed is just the expansion of how many students are taking coursework. So that has been a very pleasant surprise. And I want to get back to parents here in a second, but our coursework has really expanded for students. And so, we've got resources like the captain's course and, a generic course like sportsmanship, but a lot of students go through that course, and some state associations drive students to taking that. Actually, in Florida, their students are required to participate in, FHSAA activities. They take actually 3 different courses: concussion, sudden cardiac arrest, and heat illness prevention. So that's a lot of kids taking coursework in Florida. Alabama,
just to participate
requires. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, in a Florida High School Athletic Association activity, they are required to take those courses. So we know that there's really a want and a need for students to get involved, and so you're going to start seeing some more opportunities for kids to get involved, and we're going to go in a more of a philosophical direction of really getting kids to understand, kind of the whys of our programs. And, we all say this where, our programs bring out leadership and commitment and work ethic and all those things, right? Of what our programs do for young people and the people surrounding our programs. But it's really important for the students themselves to really have an understanding of their role in this process, or, the coach's role in the process. This is truly an educational process and for all of us. And so I think it's really helping them have the best experience that they can. And so I think that's really important, and something that, we were, again, thrilled to see so many kids taking courses. So, it's interesting. I just ran some numbers in the last week or so. And so we've had over 640,000 students have taken courses with us.
Wow.
So it's one of those things that has just really built up over time. And back, Nick, what you were saying about parents, years ago, we developed a short course for parents. And it was really about, the original title was The Role of the Parent in Sports, right? And it's really trying to get them to understand what it means to be a sport parent. And, we didn't get a whole lot of traction with it, right? We kind of refer it, I always refer to it as it's sort of like open house. And what I mean by open house is at the beginning of the school year, you will have an open house, which means you have all your parents come in, right? And they come in and they get to meet the teacher and they get to talk about what they're going to be doing in class this year. And a lot of times the parents that come to the open house are not necessarily the parents that you really are the ones that are needing to talk to. Yeah. And so we were having a lot of parents take it that, maybe weren't exactly the ones that we needed to be taking the course. And so over the last several years, we have heard it very loud and clear from our membership that we need to reach more parents. And it's something that's very challenging and it's very difficult. So what we did was we really did some out of the box thinking. And so the Learning Center is well known for courses. Well, courses may not be working for this specific need. And so we now have delivered and completed 3 different parent videos. So it's really a series now, and it's, the parent seat.
Yep.
And it's a video that we are just putting out there. Anyone can download it, which means we have zero control over that once it goes. We don't know how many people are watching it.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's okay. Yeah. We want as many people to view it as possible, download it, use it at parent meetings. And so we now have 3 of those, and they really cover the gamut. They cover everything. So our newest one that we just released, that we haven't even publicly released yet, is the parent seat, a lasting relationship.
Okay, cool.
And so it's really about parents. You have a real opportunity here to build a positive long-term bond with your student rather than possibly a negative one based on their sport or activity experience. And so every one of those short videos, they're about 4 or 5 minutes, but they give you a checklist that you can walk away from and use tomorrow, use today, that can help you navigate that relationship with your student.
Well, that's great. And I appreciate how you mentioned that you can download them, do what you want with them. We have the first parent seat video embedded into our website. I also don't know how many people have watched it, but I'm sure I could find out. But no, that is a great resource to be able to do that. Right. That's great.
Yeah. I mean, there's just certain things that we just at some point have to say, you know what, let's just put it out there. And we may not know the number of people that watch it or download it, but I'll tell you, just from watching social media, we find pictures of people, in auditoriums, parents in auditoriums watching the parent seat on the big screen during a parent meeting. Hey, cool. We just want it out there.
That's great. Well, one of the other, let's say, more recent things that you started, aside from the videos, is the honor roll for schools. And I obviously, I know what that is, right? We've been talking about that a little bit, and I've been working with my coaches quite hard on the honor roll. But can you kind of explain that a little bit, and then kind of tell us how or maybe why that recognition program started?
Yeah, I think we have had certification programs that are very similar to the NIAAA program, and Matt, I appreciate you mentioning. I'm very proud of my CMAA, and I really am a believer in professional development in general, if you can't tell. But, we really did back in 2009 when we launched our certification programs for coaches, it was very much modeled after the NIAAA's model. And, it's great to get individuals involved, right? But the school honor roll program was really about what all of our schools and programs are all about community. And so it was really bringing this sense of community to a professional development level. And it's like, it's great if Nick becomes a level 1, level 2, you name it, level coach. That's wonderful. It's great when Matt becomes a level 2 coach. But when we do it together, we talk about, working together as a staff, and talk about our kids doing things together and doing things the right way. And it is a powerful thing when a school does that. And basically this program offers a banner that you can hang up in your school, wherever it best works for you. And you can be proud of that, just like whether it be a local championship or a state championship or whatever kind of, conference championship, whatever is important to you, you can put it near there and say, we care about professional development. We know that it makes our community proud that we are doing things the right way, and our coaches and our staff take this very seriously, so that we can best provide an experience that our kids will enjoy and for years to come. So that's really the essence of it. And we really just started that this spring.
And what's been the feedback, or how many schools are on the honor roll?
Yeah, it's been tricky. I mean, this has all been done in the pandemic. Right. And so we've tried to be delicate in promoting it to a certain extent, but we've had over 60 schools who have become at least one of those levels within the program. And there's a lot of states and a lot of schools that require fundamentals of coaching, which is really our flagship course for coaches. Mm-hmm. And that's the only paid course for the level 1 school honor roll program. So there's going to be a lot more schools that I think are going to be applying over the next several months. I think when we really kind of promote it a little bit more, because there's a lot of schools that, like I said, require fundamentals. So you're really talking about 3 additional free courses that are a part of that. And that's sudden cardiac arrest, concussion in sports, and the protecting students from abuse. So really courses that when you look at them, you say, you know what? Yeah, all of our coaches would benefit from those. And, we want to be a part of it. And this is just a great testament to our group and our community and our school that all of our coaches go through this.
Well, the pandemic was really a catalyst for me at my school to be able to get coaches to take courses. So when we all went home last March, I used that as a way to, hey, we'll pay for your courses. Whatever courses you want to take, we'll pay for them, as many as you want, but you have to take those 4 courses. So we had a great deal of coaches jump on board, and it got to the point where we were really close to the honor roll. So I said, okay, starting this school year, we've got so many people to voluntarily do it. Now we all have to do it. We're there. And I've been working hard. I really wanted to get it done for today, and we're close. An email just came in, and I'm really close.
I think you're like one coach away, Nick.
Yeah, and it's maybe an oversight on my part. I was pushing at him to get fundamentals done, and this one coach didn't get concussion done yet. But that'll be easy enough. And by the time this airs, or sometime in the near future, I hope that AIS Vienna can be the first international school to be on the honor roll.
I think it's safe to assume that, Nick. But we do appreciate your leadership, and that's a big deal. And so we're thrilled that you all are promoting it and are embracing it, because it really is for everyone. It's something that I think that can be embraced by everyone.
Yeah, that kind of brings us into the next topic we want to talk about, is the NFHS and the international schools, because that's what's great about all these courses, or many of them, I should say, are universal. They really could be used by folks all over the place. But has there been any thought about from the NFHS to maybe look at courses that could be more geared towards international schools, or kind of content based towards them? Like we've adapted some of the NIAAA courses for athletic directors more towards international folks. So I don't know if that's the case with any of the NFHS courses that are available or could be.
Yeah. I think fundamentals of coaching is the natural one that could be adapted. And I think that, it over the years, I've had several requests from multiple countries that have shown interest in fundamentals of coaching, but weren't comfortable using it as is. I mean, we obviously there's certain U.S. based, Title IX.
Yeah.
There's certain things and obviously, having sports within schools is most popular in the U.S. And so just some of the hierarchy of school buildings and things like that are a little bit different. Not life altering, not that much different, but I do think that there are a few areas that could be adapted. And I do think that we're closer now than ever of doing that at some point where we have and again, I don't have a working title or anything, but essentially an international version of fundamentals where, we would work with individuals like yourselves and say, what does that look like? What could be different? What should be different? What has to be different? And I think that it would be something that would increase the growth of that course, because I do think that, and we have plenty of examples of this, guys, where, we would change the title of a course, to be more inclusive, and it made a huge difference. So we all know that to be very true, that one of the first things I did as director was, and it has little to do with me, it's just a timing thing. But, the website, we were expanding in 2014, and we just simply made those NFHS Learn for You, the NFHS Learn for You menu item on the menu bar that everybody knows now. And we just made a place for coaches, administrators, parents, students, and now performing arts. I mean, you're just letting people know, back to my point before, you're letting them know that no matter who you are, there is a place for me. This was actually developed with me in mind. There's a big difference in that of me going to a website as an administrator and I'm taking a course for coaches. Now, as an administrator, you might recognize the value in you taking a coaching course, but there's a big difference, someone from performing arts coming in and taking something for coaches. And I'm not going to tell you that it's perfect now, but that's something that we are very, sensitive to and have seen that be effective. And so I think in that same vein for this would be, hey, let's give some attention to those international coaches, to the international community, and make something that's specific for them. And in years past, it's just been, in full transparency, it's just been very tough to say to our membership, hey, we're going to use our time and resources to do something that, isn't really a direct benefit to our member state associations. But I think that, there certainly are some indirect benefits. And again, the Learning Center, we're thrilled that it's become really had global influence.
Well, I mean, this week I've been emailing with Abby, and thank you, Abby, for the stats and working with me. But that's what I wanted to know, really, is how many international users are out there and what kind of usage you're getting. So I was pretty shocked to have her say that there was 60,000 plus international users. Yeah.
So what that actually is unique users that that have come to the Learning Center. So we know that from the data that they all haven't necessarily ordered courses, but they're getting to the Learning Center.
Yeah.
And one thing that I know, one of the stats, because we obviously keep very close track of courses taken and ordered and that.
Right.
We have most of our tracking is by state. And so we also have a very generic, and I know we probably could do it better, but there's a very generic outside of the USA, drop down item, right?
Right.
And so, we saw a tremendous growth from the past year, and then compared to the previous year, it was, I think we did over 22,000 courses to folks from outside the USA. Wow. And then that's compared to like 6,200 the year before.
Wow.
So like, that's a pretty drastic difference. And I know that a lot of people are putting an asterisk next to 2020 for a lot of good reasons. Sure. Right. And for the same thing that you mentioned earlier, Nick, a lot of people did use the Learning Center as a resource during the pandemic. So trying to take a negative situation, if you will, and make it a positive one, that certainly was a positive thing that I'm glad we could provide, a place and some professional development for people during the pandemic. But I think that's part of it, of why we saw an increase. And I also wonder how many international folks actually did it and picked a state.
Sure.
And that we don't, it doesn't matter, but I would be curious to know if we actually had more courses delivered to international folks than what the 22,000 number says.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
I think it'd be helpful if I don't know if there's a way that could be tweaked so you could, pick the country you're from. And I think that give you guys a better read on the actual outreach you're achieving by all these international schools. Or it could even be a coach in Russia, for example, who works at a public school, but for some reason he's found out about the NFHL. So I think that'd be some pretty good data for you guys to use and learn from, because I know we promoted it quite a bit, Nick and I, through the Globetrottin ADs online conference. I know I've passed it on to my coaches, so I'm sure the word's spreading. So it's just an awesome resource that everybody can tap into for sure.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, I think it's a big difference, right? In my seat, it's a big difference, that 6,200 number compared to the 23,000, 22,000 plus number. Yeah. So, that opens my eyes a little bit more too. And while that's a small percentage of folks coming to the Learning Center, it's a big percentage increase for those the international folks. So I think that maybe we are getting to a place where we do need to be able to take that at registration and see where they're from. But it's encouraging.
Yeah. Well,
sure.
I mean, I'm really glad, because I've been really trying to get people on board, at least at my school, if not around the world, for years. I'm always mindful of what we, ask or make our coaches to do. Most of our coaches are teachers. They're busy. Obviously, sports is not as, in our school, is not a high priority as in the U.S. But obviously, that's no excuse for wanting to have qualified coaches, and coaches that, are up to the snuff, just not on X's and O's, but all these other things. So I'm really happy to see the number rise. I wonder what you think, Matt, because international schools pride themselves on the quality of their teachers, the quality of the education. We bring in the best from around the world, and charge a lot of money. But I don't know of one school that mandates their coaches have some sort of coach qualification.
No, it's. I think we're getting there. Again, a lot of this stuff is new for international schools. Of course, like Dan said, for many state associations, just to get a job as a coach, whether you're a volunteer or paid, you have to take these basic introductory courses. And I think that's probably a little easier to mandate in the U.S. because it's just kind of how things go. That you have to achieve these qualifications. I think in my school, it's a little more of a slow go to mandate things. We've gradually added more things on as the time has gone on. More requirements for coaches in addition to just working at the school. Right. So, yeah, I think, it raises the profile of your school when you're saying to your parent community or your community right. at large, here's what the expectations are for folks to work in our school and right. work in our programs and work with our kids. So there's nothing but positives that can be gained from it for sure.
Right. Yeah, and I'll tell you that when I first started at the NFHS, the coaching requirements looked much different. They were a lot thinner than they are today, and so it's definitely not. It's still a challenge in the U.S. for requirements because there's a lot of emotion about requirements. No one wants an unfunded mandate. I don't care what industry line of work you're talking about. Yep. An unfunded mandate is typically not a welcome thing. The NFHS does not make requirements, frankly, for anything. And so for us, we are trying to incentivize it, and we are trying to praise and recognize good works. And so through, the school honor roll program, through the, credentialing programs that we offer, that's what we found our best way to do it, to try to get them involved in any way that we can, to offer these free resources, to get people to naturally value, appreciate, and want to be a part of more professional development programs. That's been our way of growing and getting better. And so it's a process. To
look of where you come, and all the things you mentioned that are in the works and where you want to take it, there's no sign of slowing down, right? There's more users every year.
No. I mean, we'd like to get into more course offerings for students. Mm-hmm. Where soon you're going to see us expand to do some things that are more in the credentialing area for parents. Okay. So complete a couple courses and you'll get, a nice kind of a badge in your profile, and that may mean more to some than others, but you'll have a certificate, and we want people to buy into themselves and buy into their schools just from their effort in time to be better. So you're going to see some things for students. I think that's really important. And those are not only are those the kids that we all work very hard to serve, and mm-hmm. that's what all of us do. I mean, everything we do is either directly for or indirectly for the kids, right? Well, guess what? Those are also the next coaches, the next officials, the next administrators, you name it. They're the next one. So, hey, the more that they can learn about who we are and what we do now and understand the value of our programs, we're even that much better.
Well, one big thing in our world is at the moment is the, let's say, shift from a in-person conference to the online conference for the NADC coming up in December. Mm-hmm. And I know the NFHS is a part of that conference every year. I just wondered what role you'll play this time.
Yeah, so the NFHS does co-host that every year with the NIAAA, and it's a great partnership. And once again, centered around professional development for athletic administrators. And I'm a half glass full guy. I just see this as an opportunity. Now, with that being said, I've been going to that conference, not as long as a lot of other people, but I've been going to that conference since 2008. My first conference was in San Diego. So how else do you better start going to your, first AD conference and going to San Diego? So trust me, there's not going to be, I will miss the interaction because there's so many people that you meet and that I've had the opportunity to meet over the years, and seeing them every year is just, it's great. I mean, that's part of the reason why you go.
Right.
However, there are some real opportunities here for a lot of athletic administrators or those maybe coaches that are aspiring to be athletic administrators. What a great opportunity to get involved in this conference. And, you're going to get to be involved in all the sessions, right? So you're going to get, the professional development out of it. And then, I just, for those listening, I just want to, think about it when you're going through this virtual experience, which will be different. We're going to learn a lot in this process, but then imagine, a year from now, having all of this professional development, but then also getting to meet and rub shoulders with all of these ADs, because these are the best not only in the country but the world, right? Yeah. And so these are people like you and me who care so much about making themselves better for others. And there's great speakers, great programs surrounding the conference. So I think it's just a great way to get more and more people involved and see the value. And so, the NFHS Learning Center always is involved in the exhibit show. And, we're going to do something creative for the exhibit show. We're still going to have an exhibit show. Okay. So it'll be for the Learning Center. I think it'll actually work out quite nicely because there's going to be a, kind of a digital space to where you can, have people come into your exhibit and perhaps see a couple snippets or two of some courses or what's new from the NFHS Learning Center. So, a lot of exhibitors will have that same opportunity. And so again, I think it's different. It's fun. Right. It's not going to be those of us that have gone before. It's not going to be the same experience, but I think it's going to be a neat deal.
Cool. I like your enthusiasm for something new. That's but I wouldn't expect anything different. So that's great. Matt, you're disappointed about the conference for personal reasons, though. I don't know if you want to go into those while we're recording or not, but
wow, I'm just missing having the opportunity to go back down to Florida, of course.
Yeah,
see the Sunshine State, and one of our good friends, Chris has a place down there as well, Chris Mott. But we're just going to have to wait till another time to reconvene down south.
Yeah, no,
but
it'll
be there.
Dan, you're right though. It'll be a way for, I think, international school ADs that would have never made the trip to to get to experience it, sure. And then maybe take the opportunity next year, and be there. The
one thing I am disappointed, I can't defend my home run hitting contest title that Daktronics sponsored last year, and I won the coveted Daktronics Under Armour.
Wow!
Coffee. Yeah,
nice.
So I don't know if Daktronics, if they're listening, if they can still organize something. I'll happily participate and defend my crown.
Well,
That's beautiful.
Virtual home run hitting and virtual cornhole or bago. So,
Coach Evaluator is the premier coach evaluation software for schools and athletic organizations and preferred coach evaluation solution of the NIAAA and the Positive Coaching Alliance. The system is completely customizable with an always growing evaluation template library for athletic directors to reference. There are not only evaluations for ADs to use, but also self-evaluations and parent-player evaluations of coaches. Learn more about digitizing and simplifying your coach evaluation process by visiting www.coachevaluator.com. Mention Globetrottin ADs to receive a $200 discount on the yearly rate.
Kukri are a global multi-sport clothing brand specializing in providing the world's most prestigious schools with bespoke made and designed team uniforms for students of all standards and abilities. If you are frustrated by inconsistent colors, branding, costs, and sizing across your school's uniforms, then it's time to discuss an offering where every sport is available from softball to soccer for male and female athletes at rates to suit your budget. To find out how Kukri could elevate the apparel of your student athletes to a professional level, email the team at contact@kukrisports.com. A dedicated sales manager will offer you a quote today. Mention this ad and receive a special offer on your coach or PE staff order.
The last thing that, Dan, I really want to talk to you about, never mind all this learning stuff. Yeah. So growing up with my best friend, who then became my college roommate when we went to play college baseball in the States, Jamie Robertson, our favorite thing to do for years and years and years was play wiffle ball. And our version of wiffle ball was on my street, and it was home run derby, right? It was just home run derby.
Yeah.
Because it was just the two of us.
Yeah.
And left field had a big tree blocking obstruction. You had to get it over the big tree. Right field was just long and straight. But anyway, we spent hours and hours playing wiffle ball, but knew no one else that played. Honestly, I mean, Canada. So, we were playing baseball at the level we played was unique anyway. But, so we didn't know anyone else that played, or it was a thing. But it is a thing, and you are a Hall of Famer, right? Tell us about wiffle ball.
Yeah, I have played slow pitch wiffle ball. So it's a whole nother world here. There's fast pitch, and there's slow pitch. I would have loved at some point in time to play real fast pitch, but that is it's a different game. But in my hometown in northern Indiana, Mishawaka, Indiana, there has been a tournament, a slow pitch wiffle ball tournament since 1980.
Wow.
And over the years, it has expanded and has been taking place the last several years in the Chicago area, in Illinois. But it's always been an opportunity for me and my brothers, my family, my dad have participated and played and had some success in wiffle ball. But it's certainly not as easy as it looks. And it's sort of like golf, right? What is so hard about hitting a ball that is sitting on a tee, not even moving? How hard is it to hit a ball off a tee? But it's really been a fun ride, and typically about 50 teams are in the tournament each year or so. And so we have been fortunate to win it 4 different times. So the World Wiffle Ball Championship. And so it's one of those things that a buddy from high school that I played baseball with, my 2 younger brothers and my dad all get together for a weekend, and you get to be kids.
Yeah. And
if anything, it's just an opportunity to get together with them. But cool. It's a really cool thing, and a lot of fun.
How many guys make up a team?
Yeah, so there's 1 catcher, 1 pitcher, and 2 outfielders.
Okay.
So you can imagine. I mean, basically, a group of kids in the 80s created this version of wiffle ball where you're literally in the outfield of a softball field or a baseball field. So you use the pre-existing fence, which is generally just a flat fence. So you had the center field is 85 feet away from home plate, and the down the lines fence is 100 feet away. So it's not a large field, but wind makes a huge difference in the game of wiffle ball.
Oh yeah.
So if you're playing on a wind out, if you're playing on a wind blowing outfield, you want to swing up. And if you're playing on a wind blowing infield, you better tighten up your defense and try to hit balls up the middle.
Cool. And what happened this year? I mean, not that we have to talk hours and hours about wiffle ball. We could, and I could carry on after. But no, what happened this year? Was there a championship this past summer, or was that?
So they actually they postponed it, and they did it. We did it in September.
Oh.
And so it passed us by. We didn't perform at our best on championship Sunday when it mattered. We got knocked out in the round of 16.
Okay.
And the team that actually beat us ended up going to the final. So they made we caught a hot team at the wrong time. So we played well enough to be a top seed on for Saturday. So you play 4 games on Saturday,
Okay.
and then you advance to Sunday for the championship round. And we just got beat. Did not play very well. So
Well,
it happens.
Are there qualifiers, or could a guy from Vienna and a guy from Budapest get a couple buddies and join in next year?
Nope. Anybody can play. So
Okay.
that's what's fun about it. That's really the idea is get out and go be a kid for a weekend.
Yeah.
Sounds awesome.
That sounds great. Well, I'll put the website and the info in the thing, and I'll include a picture of my home field out there. And,
that's beautiful.
and I'll try to get the dimensions and relive a bit of my childhood as well.
Oh yeah,
I love that.
used to do a lot of wiffle ball back in the day.
Cool. Well, Dan, really appreciate your time talking about something that you clearly are really passionate about, and really not just for this hour, but thanks for everything that you're doing there, because it's really making a difference, without a doubt, to everyone in the United States, but also to the international community, as you're starting to see. And I look forward to even more things from the Learning Center.
My pleasure, guys. I appreciate everything you're doing to promote athletic administration and across the globe. So thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Until next week, this has been another episode of the Globetrottin ADs.